where Saskatchewan talks football. CJME's The Green Zone. Powered by Minard Steadfast Homes.
Good evening, Saskatchewan. Welcome to the Green Zone. Jamie and I and Glenn Suter with you this evening. Glenn, how was your Thursday night?
It's going well.
How's your voice?
I'd say we're playing at about 90%.
Hey, 90%.
Is there time of year where everyone's got to play a little nicked up?
Yeah, is there any football player that at this point of the season even at 90%, Glenn?
If you're 90%, you're loving it. You're loving life right now, so I'm good. Good to go.
Well, let's get started with the coolest job ever, the semifinals, vying for $10,000, a trip to the Grape Cup, and a seat right here in this studio on the Green Zone. Trevor Redler is our first semifinalist tonight, the final two this evening. Trevor, first off, car for Matt O'Donnell. What are your thoughts?
I like the trade just because I want to use him as trade bait to get a good defensive back.
A good wait, whoa. You want Carr to come in and then trade him immediately for a defensive back?
Definitely. He's like a sexy pick because he's big. Everybody wants him. Well, everybody should probably want him. We have Chris McKenzie in the back, and he's probably a nice guy, but as a defensive back, I don't think he's great. We have had this as a weakness for the last couple of years, just with defensive back play, and we have been having some improvements with, Tareen coming in. With I thought that Collins played pretty well the last game. Mays is getting a whole lot better, but it's a weakness that we have. We got to throw the ball to these guys. Foster had a good game last game. I know he's not as big as Carr, but I just see that that's where we need to improve.
Glenn?
With Matt O'Donnell, let's continue this thought. With Matt O'Donnell gone, a Canadian offensive lineman, did the Riders pay too much for, even if the trade was made for another DB, like you're saying, Trevor, was it too big a price to pay, too high a price to pay?
Well, I think we have some Canadian O-linemen, and I'm sure that he could be good, but he's coming off of the NFL. He's going to have maybe one really good season, and then he's going to go right back. So it's almost like we, just borrowed him for a while. So maybe we're getting something that could stay here for a while. That's the way I see it.
So you're of the belief Matt O'Donnell's would be in and out?
I definitely think he'd be in and out.
See, Glenn, and I agree with that. I think that's why Brendan Taman, he was having difficulties with Matt O'Donnell and wanted to get him out.
Okay, but it is an asset, and my question is, did he get enough for the asset? And when you talk Canadian offensive lineman, even if he wasn't going to sign in Saskatchewan or stay in Saskatchewan for any length of time, then you could still not necessarily let anyone else know that. I mean, and number one, when you're trying to trade for him, and the opinions of other GMs across the league might be different. They might not think that he's going anywhere except to stay in Canada for the next 10 years. And if that's the case, then you could trade him. Could you trade him? I guess my question is, could you trade him for a lot more than a middle-of-the-road sort of, average is not fair, but a great car that has not really shown that he's a 1,000-yard receiver?
I'm going to catch Trevor up here because you think you trade a Canadian offensive lineman, Glenn does believe, for quarterback only. So let's base it there. That's what Glenn's talking about. He said it last night, quarterback only. Do you agree with that?
No, not at all. Sorry, Glenn. I think that we're doing all right with quarterback right now. You got two rookie quarterbacks. I know that O'Sullivan's maybe a little long in the tooth, but he's going to be here for a little bit at least. So you got to improve where you need to improve. And Darian Durant, I think, is a great athlete. So we're going to try to hook our wagon onto him and just go with that. And Willie got a little bit of a chance last game. He looked pretty good. And so we got to go with what we got and address what we need.
Well, Trevor, let's move on from the trade and other topics that have been popular this week, especially the Saskatchewan Roughriders 52-0 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Seems to be an interesting and popular topic people are talking about. So what do you think of a 52-0 win, and are you a believer they're starting to turn this season around?
Well, I think that they're definitely starting to turn it around, and just, from the fans' perspective, it's starting to look really good because they're starting to make changes to different plays, and things are looking better for us out there. We're not sitting in the stands and going, oh, this blocking scheme for the run up the middle was different than the run up the middle that we just did last play. We just see a run up the middle that got stuffed. Whereas now we're doing play action plays, we're doing a whole bunch of other things. They're spreading the ball out, and it seems to be really successful. We're doing different things that the fans can notice. And obviously the score kind of showed that.
Glenn?
Okay, well, first of all, I got to go back, and I wasn't suggesting that we trade Matt O'Donnell for a quarterback to replace Darian Durant. That's certainly. I was saying if you're gonna trade a Canadian that could be a starter for a long period of time, I'm not talking about a backup receiver or something. I'm talking about a guy that is an offensive lineman that could play 10 years. Then you have to get full value for them. And if you're talking import players, then you got to be talking quarterbacks. I mean, you can get receivers like Greg Carr from the States and free agency, not a dime a dozen, but you can get them. I want to move on, though. How would you assess, Trevor, it's halfway point of the season, the performance of a rookie head coach in Corey Chamberlain?
Well, I think he's doing a really good job. The defense still kind of makes me a little bit nervous, and he's kind of overseeing everything that's going on. I don't like the 15-yard cushion that we put on every second down play. I think that's a big reason why we give up so many second and longs. But overall, he's doing a good job, and he's keeping them all together. Like, just take a look at how things worked out with the Calgary loss. We got stomped in the first quarter. He went out and just ripped them. And they turned it around, and so it's not. He still has control over the team, and of course he's going to have some growing pains, and things aren't going to go perfectly. But I think he's doing a really good job. I'm happy with the way things are going.
Another popular question we've been talking to the other candidates about, and we need your opinion on it because we've been 4 for 4 on this one. The back and forth between I think the small minority of naysayers seem like the strong majority of naysayers against the quarterback Darian Durant. I know your rant was a little bit about Darian Durant, but how do you perceive he as a 30-year-old quarterback in this league and where he's going?
Well, I think he's a really good quarterback. I think as an athlete, he's probably one of the best, if not the best, in the CFL. He's a threat to run. He's got a good arm. I don't think that his deep ball accuracy is there as much as some of the other quarterbacks. But I think what he really needs to work on is if his first read isn't there, then I think that sometimes he's making some poor decisions, and he's not forcing it as badly as he was, earlier, like when he did in the BC game. But I think he's a really good quarterback. He's definitely in the top 5.
Well, that's it. That's his 7 minutes with Trevor Redler, semifinalist of the coolest job ever, $10,000, trip to the Grey Cup, and the CD's in right now in studio. Trevor, well done.
Thanks.
Nice job.
There you have it. Trevor Redler.